shine, gonna watch you grow, gonna paint the sign.
Always love the view of the Capitol here in the nation's capital. There are hundreds of congressional and committee offices on Capitol Hill, and that means an almost countless number of different rules, especially when it comes to things like family leave. Now, as part of an ongoing series for her Hill Navigator column, Roll Call's Rebecca Gale has looked at what it's like for women to be pregnant and new moms while working for the legislative branch of the government. And now she's flipped the coin a little bit to see how new dads fare on the Hill. And she joins us now live with more details. Good to see you again.
Thanks so much for having me back on.
Yeah,
Yes.
we talked about the moms, and then sometimes we don't think about the dads and what policies may or may not be in place and if they take advantage of it or not.
Exactly. And on Capitol Hill, similar to maternity leave, each office has their own policy. And for dads, some of them are finding out these policies aren't written down. And without a set policy in place, some dads don't know they even have paternity leave to take, and they're less inclined to take it.
And I would think the bigger thing here is the culture of, I want some time to be with my family. My wife just had a baby, and I'd like a couple of weeks off, please. And then the other guy's saying, what? So is that culture exist, or is it?
No, you're absolutely correct. On Capitol Hill, FaceTime is very much at a premium, and a lot of men are hesitant to step away from their office. They feel like they could be penalized. They feel like they may have their responsibilities given to somebody else, and that's a real concern for a lot of men who take paternity leave, not just on Capitol Hill, but in other industries too. But the men who take paternity leave on Capitol Hill for the longest are the ones whose offices really support it. They have an office, they have a member of Congress, they have a chief of staff who feel like this is something they want their staffers to have, and they will cover for them while they're gone. It gives the men know going in how many weeks they have, and they're allowed to take it. So they're able to take time with their newborn baby and come back to their job. And one of the men I spoke to left as legislative director, and he came back, he was promoted to chief of staff.
Wow.
Oh, well, he lucked out. Is it literally different? I'm sorry, sir. Is it literally different for every member of Congress, though, to set whatever kind of policy or rule that they want to be in place?
Yes, every member of Congress and committee makes their own rules for their staff. What's interesting, we found out, in this roll call article coming out, is that there's a handbook given to members when they're sworn in, sort of a default guideline. And the default paid leave for staffers for new babies, 0 weeks.
Wow.
What?
So, okay, 0 weeks. Do most of them, you say, go that way? I mean, do we have a percentage, or what are the, some of the best ones that are out there as well?
So 9 out of 10 House offices do offer some paid leave for the birth of a new child. And all House staffers who have been working for a year are eligible for FMLA, but as you know, that's unpaid time off. So the ones that do offer, some offer generous policies, like I think 6 weeks, 10 weeks, 12 weeks. I think there's a handful of offices that offer even more than that, but that's a smaller percentage. But even so, the staffers who are taking these leaves predominantly tend to be women. So the men that actually take time off are the men who are in offices where they feel supported, where the members really bought in, the chief of staff is on board, and there's a written guideline for them, so they know what to expect. They don't have to go digging through a handbook or putting together their vacation days. They actually know when they find out they're having a baby, they have time to available.
Did you find a lot of offices that are like that, though, or is that more, I guess, not the rule necessarily?
So interesting enough, the offices who are like that are the ones that are most effusive about the policies and the most willing to talk and come forward. I feel like the men who had positive paternity leave experiences were comfortable speaking about them, and their member and their chief of staff also wanted to say this is a benefit we give to our employees, and we're really proud about it. The offices that didn't, they preferred not to go on the record.
I was going to ask you, what was the reaction when you came and asked? I was just going to ask that same question. Were they like, no, talk about that? Right.
I was able to speak to a few who did it under conditions that I don't say their boss's name. And, this wasn't about outing that office. This wasn't about sort of, giving a bad grade to members of Congress who don't do these benefits. But I think it's really important for men to know that if they speak up and they ask, what is your paternity leave policy, they can start a discussion.
Right.
I'm really curious, just real quick, did this perhaps go along partisan lines as to one party being better about it than the other?
So it's a very interesting question. The data I had was compiled a few years ago, and they did not have party lines in there. But I did ask the Speaker's office, and I asked the Minority Leader's office, and Nancy Pelosi's office, I believe, gives 6 weeks paid, and Speaker Boehner's office gives 2 weeks paid for men and women.
All right.
Interesting.
It is
Just wondering.
What's next? You're going to have this experience again, second baby.
Well, one at a time.
Okay.
Toddler internships on the Hill.
Right.
Where we go from there. Rebecca, thanks.
Daycare, right.
Thank you.
Happy to be here.
Okay.
Thank you.